Wow! Welcome to the Q&Asa, where the past, present, and future of gaming all converge, and everything is awesome. I started nice and sharp today. I've not given people more than a few seconds to roll in, but I can see we've already got Tony, Isla, Kratos, Baz, and Jordan with the Wii. How are we all doing? Episode 13 with the Wii as well is getting into the swing of things. Episode 13, I have a not particularly fancy drinking vessel for you this evening. Best I could do, I'm afraid. How are we all? This is a slightly different Q&Asa, only ever so slightly different. It's actually exactly the same as usual, but there's not really that many topics to discuss this week because everything is dominated by people playing Baldur's Gate 3 and Starfield. And actual topics aside from those are pretty light. Look at that. Very fancy. I don't like that it's making this tankard on my desk look so small. That's a shame. Welcome, Painful Discourse. Welcome, everybody. If you're watching after the fact, the same. Welcome to you. Ordinarily, before we get into the show, we have a word from our sponsor. And today, our sponsor refused. Our sponsor said that they will not have their brand associated with a sweaty mess. And they refused to sponsor the show, which is really, like, that's quite something considering I'm the sponsor. I'm the one that makes that decision. But it's happened. Game On Daily have declined to sponsor this week's episode. So we'll get straight on with how the show is going to go. How you doing, Replicant, Tom? It's like normal, really. There are some light topics that we'll touch on. But as always, format of the show is you say things in chat, we have this back and forth. Everyone's booing. Game On Daily have reconsidered. This week's sponsor is the lovable Game On Daily platform, news aggregator, social media wannabe, delicious place to find and consume all of your gaming and news and excitement. It's there. They sponsor the show every week. Thank you to Game On Daily. I can change my format whenever I want, episode 13. I have full control of the universe. I can't hear my own music and I don't like that, so let me just fix that and then we'll carry on. Ooh. Oh. There we go, can't miss that one. Exactly, it is. Cut your toenails. Okay, so all that we're changing is that there's not that many topics, so I'm taking a leaf out of Sarah Morgan's book and being very open with the questions, which means you get to ask things more aggressively than usual, and I'll do my best. Will I? That's risky invitation with the likes of Tony around. More or less, though, I'll try and answer them. Yes, I'm on Top Chat, thank you very much. Yes, it's Skyrim as the audio, thank you very much. Background, I expect people to get this time. People struggled last time, but why am I like what? Using the wrong mouse? Good question. So it's a lovely conversational show. Welcome, Dave Mack. I say words into a microphone. You don't have a microphone necessarily, so you just type things into the chat. And we have this nice little back and forth conversation. You can talk to me, you can talk to each other. VR God of War thing, yes. Painful Discourse, that's the one. We have this back and forth. We talk about whatever we're going to talk about. I get distracted by things that you're saying and everything derails horribly. And that's kind of the key format of this show. If that's not working for you, if you're talking in chat and I'm missing it because I'm scatterbrained, there are other ways that you can get in touch. Option 2 is... what is option 2? I can't remember the order of the options, so we're going to say option 2 is the super chat. If you need immediate attention, you can super chat. The minimum price, I'm feeling generous this week, so the minimum price is $963. So if you super chat with a minimum value of $963, I will accept anything above that value as well. Then I will immediately read out your super chat. That's just fine, you can do that. Option 3 is a VR appearance. No, it's not a VR appearance. That's a good idea though, Tony. Maybe we'll have 5 options in future. Option 3 is the Q&A box, the YouTube Q&A box, the official one. You can stick questions and comments and anything you like in there. At the end of the show, we go through those one at a time, and every single one gets at least read and addressed, if not fully answered. I can't commit to fully answering because Tony's in the crowd, you know, so who knows what will be in there. And option 4, if you want to have your voice and or face shown to the world, then yes, you can jump in on Discord. You get the Game On Daily server, which has some address. I don't really understand how Discord works. Stick yourself in the Game On Daily server. On the left, you've got a load of categories. One of them is Q&Asa. Stick yourself in Waiting Room B, Waiting Room 2, or Waiting Room Knuckles. All waiting rooms are equal. And when I get a chance, I will drag you into the live chat and we'll have a little couple of minutes of talk. You can't enter the boob room. That's secret. Nobody can even see that besides me. But there is also a secret cow level. There is a boob room. Yeah, that's how the show works. As always, we always start with what we're playing. So, Painful Discourse, why play anything else than Armored Core 6, though? Yeah, Armored Core 6 is around, isn't it? Who's been playing Armored Core 6? Tony, you must have been, because you were raving about it before it came out. It's going to be your game of the year for certain. What have you been playing, Tony? Have you been playing Armored Core 6 or have you moved on? I forgot the cameo option. No, we talked about Discord. You can do Discord cameo. Unless there's another kind of cameo that I did forget about. You couldn't sleep and you're awake. Starfield. Jordan's been playing Starfield. You did the link to the Discord. Thanks. Starfield, and you did very little time in Armored Core 6. Tony, are you not getting on with Armored Core 6? Or is Starfield just better than you expected? Cameo the app, celebrity stuff, I'm famous. No. Painful Discourse, you're in chapter 3. Is Armored Core broken down into chapters? I vaguely knew that, I think, unless that's not true, in which case I didn't know that at all. Assetto Corsa 6 is good. You prefer the Souls games. Yeah, if you want to take it as like From Software's best work or whatever, I've seen a few people say that. They'd rather it was more difficult and all the rest of it. No, yes. Very confusing. What have I been playing? Episode 13 knows some of it because it joined in with some of it. We played on Sunday's community stream some Rocket League. And Rocket League is still an incredible game that I'm incredibly bad at. Which makes it fun and frustrating in equal measure. Who plays Rocket League? Who's ever played Rocket League? Who enjoys it? Who recognizes quite how brilliant that game is? Starfield is better than you expected. It reminds you of Red Dead Redemption 2 and Cyberpunk, and you love those games, so you're getting sucked in hard. What about it reminds you of Red Dead 2 and Cyberpunk, Tony? Obviously, they're all kind of open world games, but there's not a whole heap of similarity between them. You get to talk to people, you get to level up a bit, I suppose. I say, having not played Red Dead Redemption 2, because it still won't work on my bloody PC. Bastard game. Tom, you spent far too much time shipbuilding today. Storage space is for sure no issue now. Well, I've not even got to the shipbuilding mechanics. I would like to see how those work and see if I fancy sticking some bits together. I still fully anticipate I'll just be flying around in an awful Tetris block spaceship because I just stuck together whatever I could afford. As long as it's not stealthy, it's fine. Rocket League, I was good now. I was terrible at Rocket League. But it is what it is. Your son is cracked at Rocket League, so my youngest lad plays an awful lot of it and got really good at it as well. I used to be okay. There's a clip that I had of a Rocket League goal that I scored, which started with a goal line clearance and involved flying the entire length of the pitch just to knock the clearance in at the end, and it was a beautiful goal. And in those days, I was a good Rocket League player. Not brilliant, but good. Now I'm not. I can do the flying better than you, but I used to be able to do the flying reasonably decently. Tony, stop pretending that you don't like it. Tony's always been anti-Rocket League. Dave Mack, you hate the game. You hate the game. That's strong. Best multiplayer, like competitive multiplayer game since Quake 3 Arena. And very similar to Quake 3 Arena. Very similar, extremely similar game. Almost the same. Almost the same game as Quake 3 Arena. Which is obviously not true because there's no guns in Rocket League and there's no cars in Quake 3 Arena. But they're similar to me in that they are... They have an almost physicality to them in the way that you play them. They're sharp and snappy to control. They're really easy to get into and understand what you're doing. You shoot stuff or you knock a ball into a goal. That's simple. Anyone can look at it and get to grips with that side of it very quickly. But they both have immensely high skill ceilings. Immensely high skill ceilings. The capacity to get good at them is an ever-present goal. You can always work on your game in those and get better and better and better. And I love them both for it. But I don't play Rocket League enough to keep that progress going. So it's very difficult. And then I woke up. No, I was fine at Rocket League. I was alright at it. I'm not anymore. I'm not anymore. Tony, you played Rocket League once and you managed to score 3 of the 4 goals, even tweeted it out to me and Darge at the time. Easy game. Duh, Tony, that's silly. If it's an easy game, go and get a good rank on it, then report back. I look forwards to your failure. You hope to play soon, you might take on live stream. Oh, you're going to start streaming. That's exciting. Yeah, of course you start off playing noobs and winning, yeah. Tom, you get the Red Dead Redemption and Cyberpunk thing. Very good narrative world-building quest. Doesn't feel as Bethesda, but it suckers you in a different way. Yeah, there's things things about it that are similar. They're open world RPGs, at least at some surface level, so. You meant to talk on my live stream. Yes, episode 13, we will sort that out. So people can volunteer games that they want to play, by the way. Just like yell the names of them, because there will be another community stream this Sunday. And what we're playing is still going to be up in the air. I've got a thumbnail that covers multiple games. We can play whatever we want. But it is handy to at least like throw some names about beforehand so people can get them downloaded and ready to play. So Rocket League we played. What else did we play on Sunday? Before we get to Starfield and Baldur's Gate 3. Those are most of the conversation today. Yes, Isla made the thumbnail, of course, as she makes almost all of them. Much appreciated, even though you snuck a Minecraft on there. We didn't manage Halo. Yes, Halo refused to launch. The Xbox for PC store thing was a dickhead. It said, you've got Halo installed, and then you press play and it says, can't connect to your Halo files on your own drive. That's a problem. I've reinstalled that now, it should work. I done fucked up. Oh no. I didn't, my PC did. I did everything flawlessly. Ghostfixer, welcome along. You're loving Starfield. Completed Into the Unknown finally. What's Into the Unknown? We agreed Minecraft is multiplayers. Yes, it does have a multiplayer function in there. We did agree that. Sneak. Never mind. Never mind. We don't want to never mind it. Oh, Tony. What am I missing? I'm missing something. The new fishing game on Game Pass. The new fishing game. The fishing game. I'm furious. I'm actually not furious. I hate fishing mini games in RPGs and stuff. I hate it when a game includes fishing as a mini game. But an actual fishing game, that's fine. I got no problem with that. Probably not my go-to. But I don't mind that it exists. There was something else. We played something else. It wasn't just Rocket League. We moved to, or from, what did we start with? Oh, Street Fighter. Street Fighter 6. That's still a really good game. I'm still not very good at it, and I still need a different controller for it, but Street Fighter is still fun. I love Rice and Minecraft. What a life. Yep. Yep. You beat me every time. That's true, I think. Oh. That is true. Ah, now I'm sad. With your stacked Italian lady. Yes, you did. I'll get you next time. I will get you next time. It's part of the main quest in Starfield. Yeah, don't spoil the story stuff. I'm nowhere through Starfield. I spent a day in the life of Garl. Garl's a dick. He just has a really bad job, so it makes sense that he didn't turn up that day. And I did some other bits and got killed a few times. Yeah, tips, absolutely. I understand exactly what this conversation is all about. I am on it and with you. Payday 3 has an open beta on Xbox and Steam this weekend. Does it? That could be an option, couldn't it? I was tired after failing to sleep for the last few hours. That is unfortunate. We'll wrap the show up shortly. We'll get through it quickly. Oh yeah, it was you. Was it you that bought Bomber Cyberpunk, or did somebody else get it as well? And did you buy it because you were a fan of Jet Set Radio, Jet Grind Radio? Is it similar? Music is what you put on when you take a dump. You put the Skyrim music on to help you relieve yourself. Good. Fine dramatic choice. I used the Skyrim music and also the Halo 2 music in my Lawnmower Simulator video, because that was suitably dramatic. Episode 13, you bought Bomb Rush Cyberpunk because of your love for Jet Set Radio and Jet Set Radio Future. And it lives up to that, does it? It's still... I'm trying to determine whether it's one that I should be getting a hold of and playing. Legendary Dreamcast games, you are not wrong. You're not wrong, but I wasn't sure how like the structure of a game like that would translate into a today game, because games back then were different. Basically the same and you still love it. Replicant, Jet Set Radio Future is overrated. Well, you can say that, but did you play it when it was fresh, or did you play it after the fact? Because Jet Set Radio was the first cel-shaded game and deserves a lot of credit for starting a movement, starting an art style that you still see today. If you rate it on those grounds, if you rate it for style, I think it deserves its applause. Played it at launch on the Dreamcast, and you loved it really. Alex, what are my thoughts on the Switch 2? Same graphics as PlayStation 5 leaks. We'll get to the Switch 2 a little bit later, Alex. We will. Yeah, we will. It's a minor topic, but there aren't too many topics today. Nipple block. Excuse me. Very lost on that. Come on now. No, we're doing the games first. We will do questions, Alex. You just have to be a little bit patient. Episode 13, you never finished it. The music was good, but that's what Jet Set Radio was. It was like music and art, and the game itself was probably not going to hold up that well. You keep accidentally bringing up the modeling. Oh, did you block a person? Has someone been erased? What's my thoughts on Starfield making gamers mad? You have to be more specific, Alex. I don't know that Starfield is making gamers mad. I'm sure there are some gamers getting mad about it. Don't think we lost anyone. Okay. Why don't you like get dressed or something just in case? Oh, the pronoun anger. Is that what you mean, Alex? Do you mean those people getting mad about it? PlayStation fanboys are mad. Well, I've got a powerful muting finger, so the majority of the mad takes I don't really see. I have seen that one. That's absurd. I'm pretty sure the people that are mad about that, the ones that have had their faces and videos shared all over the place, have got exactly what they want by getting their face and their videos shared all over the place. Nobody can possibly have that strong an emotional reaction to selecting a bit of grammar. So yeah, I don't know. I don't have a lot to add to that. Does anyone here get bothered by having to select such a thing? For me, it's like I don't like that I have to choose a nose shape either, but I do. I don't complain about it too much. It's not true. I love picking a nose shape. I try and make it as wonky as mine. Sony fans asking for Starfield on PlayStation. It's nice to have nice things, isn't it? Clickbait shit. That's my thinking, Tom. Like, it's clickbait shit. It's playing to a particular audience. It's done him no harm, is it? So, say what, Tony? Say what? Tony, you share your face all over the place. Did you make me in Starfield like you were saying you were going to? Say it. What am I saying? You're confusing me. Read yours. Me, myself, and I never use pronouns. Oh, grammar jokes. No grammar jokes allowed. Can't believe that Reforged got a Starfield watch. Who cares? Mute. Mute people that have nothing worthwhile to say. And that might be a little bit harsh. I've never seen any of his content, but the stuff that gets shared around is like, yeah, no thanks. Did he get a Starfield watch because he liked Starfield and he bought it? Or did he get like a gift pack because he complained about not getting a gift pack? Sexy Goldfish is happening, episode 13. It's just a regular goldfish. Doesn't really matter what the goldfish looks like. Doesn't help the memory any. And yes, it's very difficult to keep up with. Did I look at the list of games that were added to GeForce Now today? They were... Yeah, I saw them briefly. The Game Pass ones were specifically from Focus Interactive. So it was Plague Tale, Requiem... something else, Atomic Heart, something else, and then like a smattering of other games that were outside of the whole Xbox Game Pass thing. Very notably, no Starfield. That's an interesting thing, right? Why isn't Starfield there? And I've seen people getting angry at Nvidia saying, well, you should have given us Starfield, you don't know what you're doing, dickheads. Of course Nvidia wants Starfield on it, but Microsoft don't want Starfield on GeForce Now at the moment, do they? Much as they're giving them some games because a furious legal battle forced their hand. Microsoft don't like Nvidia's GeForce Now. They don't want it to do well, so they're not going to give it Starfield and undermine the Xbox console on day one. Have all of these articles go up saying, well, Starfield's out, but you shouldn't play it on the Xbox. That wouldn't do them any favors, would it? So we'll get Starfield eventually because the contract's there, but when we'll get it? Dunno. Starfield can't run well on GeForce graphics. No, it can definitely run well on GeForce graphics. You can run Starfield 60 frames per second on the higher GeForce tiers, no problem at all. I'm sure of it. Runs very well on my PC. Your car has air conditioning. Are you in your car right now? You got a wig dent in your brain. Does not well on 60. It does. I play it all the time at 60 frames per second, Alex. I don't think I've seen any issues anywhere. I've seen probably, actually, when I went into the wilderness of the planet that has the Atlantic City place, there were probably some minor issues in some of the long grass, but no, it runs very well. But no, I don't think it's a performance issue that's keeping it off there. It is a commercial issue. It is a commercial issue because Microsoft just don't want it to be there yet. But they have signed a contract that says it has to go there at some point. So I've not looked at what I can run it at, Tony, because I VSync for the sake of streaming. Alex, I'm not completely dismissing your point because there's a range of NVIDIA cards and I'm at the top end of it. It might be comparatively not as fast in the mid-range as AMD's mid-range when you go for the usual head-to-heads. Maybe NVIDIA's underperforming somewhere, but I wouldn't say it's like a universal problem that NVIDIA cards struggle with this game, because my card definitely doesn't struggle with this game. It is obviously, again, it doesn't have any ray tracing at all, which is normally where NVIDIA would take its biggest lead. So I would think that AMD are at least competitive in that sense. The next one will be Supersonic Racing. Oh no, I've lost something. You can go for a cool drive while the world burns. Yes. Yeah, I made myself a nuclear hot chili before the show and sweated so very much. So let's do, like I say, there aren't many topics today. You've asked about the Switch 2 rumors, so we'll do that, and then we'll get into Starfield and Baldur's Gate 3 and whatever other questions there may be. What am I talking about? Where am I? What day of the week is it? Nintendo Switch 2, not necessarily called Switch 2, but the next Nintendo system has been shown to developers behind closed doors throughout the course of Gamescom. Welcome, Dennis. How you doing? I'm sweating. I've been sweating a lot more before the start of the show. I'm probably a little bit shiny now, episode 13, but before the show, waterfall. Waterfall. Starfield needs a bit of optimization on the NVIDIA GPUs. For the most part, it runs similar to AMD. Yeah. Switch 2 will be as powerful as PS3, says Tony. So the word that's going around, there's a couple of bits and pieces, and it is just like whisper to whisper, not necessarily stuff you can take at face value, because there's no formal news on the thing. But apparently they've been showing Breath of the Wild, as in the first one, not Tears of the Kingdom, Breath of the Wild running at much higher fidelity than it did on the Switch, and they've been showing the Unreal Engine Matrix demo. Let's find that. I've not shown a video yet. The Unreal Engine Matrix demo, which was very demanding little demo. Matrix Unreal. Fucking typing's really difficult. Unreal Engine 5 demo. And word is that their Unreal Engine 5 demo that they've been showing on the Switch 2 is, broadly speaking, possibly slightly comparable to how it runs on PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series X or S, not specified, but you know, broadly comparable to those. So it's got all the features. It's got Lumen, it's got Nanite, it's got all of the things that this demo was supposed to show. And this demo barely ran on the next gen consoles. It was like 24 frames per second in its good moments and didn't hold that at any steady rate whatsoever, but it looked really, really good. So, someone coming out and saying they've got this demo running on Switch 2, what does that actually mean? What does it mean to anybody? Does it mean that it's as powerful as a PlayStation 5 or an Xbox Series console? Not really. Without seeing it, you could run a version of this demo. The whole point of Unreal Engine 5's tech demos is that they're super scalable from high to low end hardware. So what resolution it can run it at and what kind of features and what frame rate it can run it at doesn't necessarily put it in the same ballpark as a next gen console. It's also very likely that if they're showing it, assuming that it is still a Switch follow-up, and that's an open question that you can all try and stab a guess at if you want. Assuming that it is a Switch follow-up though, and you can play it docked and undocked in the same way. Presumably they were showing it docked. It sounds like it's still going to be using NVIDIA hardware, so it's got that DLSS advantage, but there's very little that you can take just from hearing that they were using this particular tech demo to show it. So I take very little from it. There's also been fanciful rumors that Nintendo are doing something VR related with their next console as well. Wouldn't that be cool? It's funny, Replicant, that it happens to be Nintendo that are the only one that still works with NVIDIA. Because if anybody else did, the console space would be more interesting in terms of tech competition. But Nintendo don't care for competing in that particular area, right? Nintendo Switch plays Nintendo games. Steam Deck plays everything ever. Yeah, but Steam Deck's a piece of shit, isn't it, Tony? For mugs. Is that right? Joking. I'm joking because I know that you have one. Steam Deck, I'm sure, was very nice and serves a purpose, especially for the tinkering and all the rest of it. For me, I've said time and time again, I don't play things in that format. So Steam Deck is useless to me. The ROG and the Lenovo, whatever it is, little handheld devices are useless to me. And the Switch undocked is useless to me. Switch 2 undocked will be useless to me. But if it's a good system on my TV or a good system as a VR bit of hardware, then I'm all for it. And I would very much like Nintendo to have a good bit of TV hardware so they could play their games properly. Steam Deck is your emulation station. What have you played on it lately, Tony? Episode 13. The defining trait of the GameCube was that it was shaped as a cube and it had a handle. What about the GameCube is it that you're hoping for? Do you just want it to be shaped as a cube again? Or do you just like the name? Steam Deck is old tech. Everything becomes old tech very quickly. The consoles are old tech by now, but they're still fun. They still got Starfield and Baldur's Gate 3 out in this week. And they still have a lot of potential to show us new, exciting things, I think. GameCube was amazing. You just want Nintendo to make a console, not a hybrid. Yeah, okay. Not interested in the hybrid and the fancy things. Thing is, Nintendo always try and... They don't drop the past entirely, but they try and innovate. Like, forcibly innovate, whether it's a good idea or not. So it would be quite unlike them to just do a more powerful version of the Switch without it doing anything specifically new, like, oh, this is its gimmick or whatever. You have a Switch OLED, but you barely use it. I have a Switch. I've not used it since I threw it over my shoulder for that intro sequence. But there are games on the Switch. Like, the Switch has had a cracking few years of games. There's been loads of things that I would love to play if they could be played at a better quality. And I'm not like a super snob. I can go back and play an old game. You can give me a Dreamcast game. You can give me a Saturn game. I'll go and play them and have fun. And that's obviously like a lower standard of hardware than the Switch. But it doesn't feel right to play a modern game like that. It's weird. You assumed that there were pillows behind me, although my children caught the Switch. My children wouldn't have been reliable for catching the Switch. No, there was a beanbag behind me. It landed safely. I just don't actually use it, so... Mod me. Don't mod me. What do you mean? You were playing a game called 70s Robto Anime Geppy X. You can buy the physical version of the game for over $200. Oh, okay. Is it good though, Tony? You flipping knew it. Of course, I'm not like reckless and rich. I'm not just chucking stuff away. I didn't get given these things for free. My children would have been sad if I broke the Switch. Not that they ever use it either, but... Yeah, Tony, your mum is a Switch. Your mum has a Switch, which has been turned on 10 times max. Still counts. You just turn yours on so the battery can die. That's not true. You play Animal Crossing. Sometimes in little spurts. And one day you might play Fire Emblem. Does anybody have any thoughts on the next Nintendo then? So you want it to be a GameCube play? Anybody else have expectations or wishes for it? Or does anybody... Do you just not really care about Nintendo anymore? I don't know. Me as a mod in Starfield is needed. An NPC companion who walks around doing the most random, reckless thing. That's not me. What are you talking about? Doesn't sound anything like me. I am a little bit chaotic sometimes, but I wouldn't say it was completely random and reckless. They usually deserve to get shot. Or whatever else I can think of to do at the time. What it is yeah, I like a bit of chaos, but generally we've always been encouraged to think outside the box and come up with unexpected solutions to problems. It just so happens that when you go outside of the box, there's a lot of like, just shoot them with a shotgun. Shoot them with a shotgun. So I do that quite a lot. Want to see the tech? You like first-person Nintendo games. First-party Nintendo games, but not 720p 30. Yes, same for me, Replicant. Not even just that. They got a lot of like pretty interesting third-party games as well. I wouldn't consider... I don't know how you consider the Xenoblade games, actually, because they're not first-party, but I think they might be published by Nintendo. And they had, like, Astral Chain and the weird Square Enix ones, Bravely Default, and all of that kind of stuff. Lots of Switch games that were like, oh, I want to play that. Oh, but it's on the Switch. Mario and stuff, no, they can keep them on the Switch. I don't care about them. Geppy X is basically over-the-top robot with 3 transformations, a high-end rock and roll, over-the-top voice acting and funny acting being done with anime clips in between missions. Is that why you're not playing Armored Core 6? Did you find a better Armored Core to play on your thingy thing? Replicant, you're more interested in seeing what the PlayStation 5 Pro brings, as the current gen is struggling now with Unreal Engine 5. That's still... The Unreal Engine 5 thing is still pretty open for me in terms of how much they're struggling and how much improvement is needed. I wouldn't necessarily judge the entire engine just based on the 2 or 3 games that we've seen from third parties. But we'll see. Like, I don't anticipate Gears of War 6 will be running at 720p or anything like that. You're not playing Armored Core 6 on Steam Deck, even though you could. All you play is old games on the SD card. Fair enough, right? Fills a gap, then it's something to do on the toilet or whatever you're using it for. Astral Chain, you wish you could port to console or at least stream one of your favorite games on the Switch. It always looks good. I don't know, Platinum are a bit like hit and miss for me. Hit or miss, not hit and miss. You can't do both at the same time. So I don't know if I'd actually enjoy it when it came down to it, but it looked good. Lords of the Fallen next month will be another Unreal Engine 5 test for them. It will, and they've already confirmed that one's 1080p native, right? So I think that makes it a step up from Remnant 2 and Immortals of Avium in terms of its base resolution, assuming it actually holds that. But it is still putting a lot of work on the upscaling. So we'll see. Looks good though. Tony, when you go wash, you bring it with you. It's a good time to show your T-Rex the old games. He loves Sonic more than Mario. Of course he does. Because it's better character. Good for T-Rex. Lords of the Fallen next month. There's so many games on there. It's ridiculous. Can you, like, why does Phantom Liberty have to come out as well? It's not fair. Maybe it's a good thing that I can't get Red Dead Redemption 2 to work. I had it working, so for those of that have been following, Red Dead Redemption 2, when I first tried to play it, I downloaded it on the PC. I thought, you know what? Starfield, Baldur's Gate 3, that leaves a little bit of room for some Red Dead Redemption 2. I've never played it. Tried to play it on Steam, and a Russian hacker had stolen my Rockstar account. I had linked it to... like, it's weird the way that Rockstar and Steam link together, but they'd essentially stolen my Rockstar account. Rockstar gave it back to me eventually, so I got a hold of it. I downloaded Red Dead Redemption 2, all 120 gig of it or whatever it is. Tried to play it, and it said, no, failed to initialize your graphics card. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. So I went through troubleshooting that for... It says that I played it for 8 hours. The 8 hours of Red Dead Redemption 2 time on my Steam account is not 8 hours of playing Red Dead Redemption 2. It is 8 hours of launching like Steam and pressing the play button and watching it attempt to launch the game and then cut out again. So it's not even just 8 hours of troubleshooting. It's a lot more hours of troubleshooting, with 8 hours of that counting as playtime for Red Dead Redemption 2. Just didn't work. But eventually I got it to launch. And I was like, wow, Red Dead Redemption 2 works. This is amazing. I'm going to stream it like the next time that I stream. Launched, ran the benchmark a couple of times, tweaked some settings, ran the benchmark, everything looked lovely. I was like, yeah, I'm going to play this. It's going to be a surprise. And actually, I thought, I went to play Starfield and I was like, I'm going to start the game and Red Dead Redemption 2 is going to be there just as like a streaming Easter egg for the people that know the struggles that I've been having. And it wouldn't launch. No error message this time. Now I go Red Dead Redemption 2, I press play and it goes, I'm not going to do that. It takes about that long for it to stop. And I've gone through all of the same troubleshooting steps as I had before to fix that shite, and it's just like, nah. So I don't know if I'm ever going to get to play Red Dead Redemption 2. I know it's supposed to be awesome, Tony. I want to play it. I've been wanting to play it for quite a while now. But I'm not sure it's like part of my destiny. Oh, maybe I should play Destiny. No, I'm not even tempted to play Destiny. Try not to get bogged down with backlogs, but Starfield, Lords of the Fallen, Armored Core 6, Remnant 2, and Baldur's Gate 3 are all pretty essential. That's a big list of essentials. Of those, I've got Starfield. That's going to take me like 10 years. Lords of the Fallen, I'm still not sure that it's on my list. It looks pretty. But I don't know. It's Deck 13, isn't it? Like the developer making it. I'm not sure. Armored Core 6 I definitely do want. Remnant 2 I definitely do want. And Baldur's Gate 3 I've got, and that'll be another 10-year job. No, is it not Deck 13? Who's making this one? Was Deck 13 the first Lords of the Fallen? I missed that. Lies of P is out soon as well. Are you expecting good things from Lies of P, Dion? I've heard mixed things, but those were mostly based on the demo, and they have said encouraging things about fixing the way that the demo felt, so maybe Lies of P will be good as well. Previews are really positive for Lord of the Fallen, but who's previewed it? It was available to play at Gamescom, wasn't it? So people will have had hands on. It does look nice. The trailers look nice for it. I should bring up a trailer, shouldn't I? I'm so lazy. So lazy. Lords of the Fallen gameplay. So yeah. 17 minutes. No, we'll do the 3 months ago gameplay. No, we'll do the extended gameplay from the Xbox channel. Here we go. Here we go. Ooh. Oops, hit the microphone. Liza P, best be better than that demo. I didn't play the demo. Some people liked the demo though. They gave it to a Spanish dev. So the Spanish dev that are making the new one, what else have they made? Do they have any kind of pedigree, or do we know them? Or is this their first, like their debut project? I'm very, very enamored at the moment with both Starfield and Baldur's Gate, but Starfield in particular, I really liked the extent of like physical properties across all of the little items in the game. Cyberpunk is very good for this as well, to be fair. But I like when I'm shooting stuff and the environment is reacting well, things are breaking and flying and falling over and all of that kind of stuff. It makes such a big difference to that kind of combat for me. And this was a massive weakness for me of Immortals of Avium, where the environment was just like, I don't care that you're shooting me. What? I'm not going to catch fire. I'm not going to do anything. I am completely static, and half the NPCs were completely static as well. But I play Starfield, and there's just shit exploding everywhere and falling over, and grenades go off, and you just see stuff through the environment, like shake and fall and all the rest of it, and crash into each other and collide. Lords of the Fallen, I don't want to overly judge it, but it looks like it falls into the static camp. Like very pretty, but not very interactive. It's not necessarily damning, but it's something that I want to see change in all of these Unreal Engine 5 games that we're seeing. So I like stuff breaking. It's half the fun of it. They're a new studio, but comprised of some veterans. I think that THQ created them especially to make this game. Well, we shall see, eh? We shall see. Someone on Bitcast had played it. It was at Gamescom, wasn't it? I think it was playable at Gamescom. I think quite a bunch of people have played it. So if it was going to be like a complete disaster, we'd hopefully have heard that by now. Looks very Souls, doesn't it? It looks very Souls. Not so much the art style, parts of the art style, but the boss hasn't got the right kind of hair to be a Souls game. Movement and pacing of it, very much. You're a sucker for Soulsborne games. I don't think I am. I don't think there's many that I've really played. Very late to the genre, but generally when someone says like the main appeal of this game is that it's difficult, that's not a thing that catches my attention. And I think I probably missed out on some good games as a result of people hyping the wrong elements of them, because stuff like Elden Ring was good fun. Lost Fragment Unreal Engine 5 trailer. What's Lost Fragment? Similar to the whole Gothic situation, it's not made by Piranha, the German original developer, but a Spanish developer with the original German creator at their helm. What Gothic game are you talking about? Is there one in development at the moment? Or is this like Gothic 3 history lesson? Or whatever the latest version of that was. I've never played the Gothic games. Lost Fragment is a horror game. I'll get that trailer in a second, Tony. I'll get that in a second. Oh, there's some stuff breaking, but break some more stuff, break some more stuff. That's going to be like a Souls game where there's some specifically placed crates that you can smash. Fair enough. Oh, they're doing a reboot of Gothic at the moment. Oh, that's cool. I do like games. Let's get Tony's Lost Fragment. Whoop. Lords of the Fallen does look nice. You're a sucker for the Souls formula, and that doesn't need to mean difficult. Remnant 2 proves that they can take elements and be unique and cater to all difficulties. I thought Remnant 2 was supposed to be difficult. Whereas I don't think Like Demon Souls wasn't difficult. It just got oversold as being really hard. And Elden Ring wasn't really difficult. Not that I finished it, so I'm speaking like, oh, it's so easy, but I'm not finished on Elden Ring. I'm looking for this trailer, Tony. Nihil Inani Studio. Okay, if you say so. It's a pretty trailer. It is a pretty trailer. But can you break that window? Do the window test. How can you walk past a window and not hit it? It's a weird test, Tony. The camera's like unnatural. Don't like it. Don't believe it when it's like that. Very, very pretty. You want to see me scared again? I'm not scared of anything, Tony. Anything. Shut up. I'm going to do more VR games soon though, so. It looks like a body cam. It kind of. It looks like a fake cam because it's like tilting and moving in ways that you wouldn't if you're actually controlling a game, so. So what does it mean? I don't know. I don't know. But it did look very nice. There's that that other game going around that was like, this is hyper realistic body cam footage, but I didn't like. I don't appreciate weird lens distortion. So. This will be in VR. There are a couple of Unreal Engine 5's like games coming to VR, so it's not impossible, Tony. There's an easier difficulty than the one that you're playing Remnant on, and it's certainly no shooter with. Oh, you're certainly no way. And yeah. By the way, Peter Morland told me that he can't be here today. Peter, if you're watching this after the fact, how dare you miss? No, I'm joking. That's fine. Peter's been here week in, week out for ages on the channel. So just if you were wondering where he is, he's off with friends doing more exciting things. Good for him. What else have we got? We're nearly finished, by the way. Ask me questions. Tell me about... It's difficult because all of the conversation, all of the discourse around the gaming space and all of the news is centered on specifically Starfield with a little bit of Baldur's Gate. And I don't know what to say about Starfield because I'm only... I put a fair number of hours into it, but I haven't got anywhere because most of those hours have been trying to figure out how to cook dinosaurs. It turns out I can't cook dinosaurs. I obviously had my criminal encounter where I shot someone in New Atlantis, got chased out of the city, scaled the walls, and lived in the wilderness for a few hours. For some reason, I'm allowed back in the city. I tried to kill some people that I wasn't allowed to kill, and that was honestly quite disappointing. After playing a lot of Baldur's Gate 3 on the side. In Baldur's Gate 3, you have a lot of agency to do whatever the hell you want. And if someone talks to you wrong and you want to kill them, then you're welcome to try. It might not go well for you, but you're welcome to try. In Starfield, if you were watching yesterday, you saw someone tried to extort me for some money in order to progress one of the mainline quests. Oh, I wasn't having that. I'm not being extorted. So I shot him in the face with a shotgun. Reasonable, reasonable. And then I got arrested. Also reasonable. In most societies, you can't shoot someone with a shotgun. And then when I got out of prison, the guy was just like standing there smiling and carrying on the quest dialogue like nothing had happened. He still had like pools of blood on the floor from where I had attempted to assassinate him. And everything just carried on like normal. So that was a shame. And it's not like, oh, it's head to head against Baldur's Gate 3. Like I'm comparing this to the Outer Worlds. Where in the Outer Worlds I had a similar situation where I was halfway through a quest, did a quest for some guy with a cowboy hat, and when I got back, rather than reward me, he was like, actually, I want you to do one more thing before you have your reward. So I killed him, and he died, and that quest was abandoned, and the whole town that he was in was hostile to me from that point forwards in the game. But I like that kind of freedom. I sort of expected Starfield to handle that better just because it is also an RPG in the same vein that promises freedom and choice and all the rest of it. So it felt a little bit limited in that sense. But then I went into space, went to visit the moon, had a look at like how it maps all of these different solar systems and all of that kind of stuff, and the potential for time lapses in this game. Oh goodness, they could like, you can make some beautiful stuff if you could be bothered to stand still for long enough, because it's simulating so much all the time and doing so much, and it's awesome in that sense. And I went to that like space station by the moon to do some of the normal combat, and this is where I was like in awe of all the things blowing up, all this shit happening, all the physics to all of the items everywhere, all just like flying off shells and stuff when I blow stuff up with my grenades. And I'm like, oh no, it does, the gunplay feels nice. The game is like exceeding my expectations in that area, because I'm actually liking the combat, and it looks gorgeous, and all of these other things that it does so well. So that's kind of fun. Alex, you played Starfield until Atlantis. You went back to play the game because it's overwhelming and long. That puts you down to jump back. Yes, that's a lot of games are really, really long. Like, loads of people love The Witcher, and I love The Witcher 3, but it took me a long time to finish because I'd play it solidly for like a month and just get completely burnt out, take a break, and then go back to it and do another month. Starfield is likely to be a game that I have on and off for freaking ages. Like, I couldn't dedicate myself to just burning through Starfield without limiting my own enjoyment of Starfield, because if I were to just consume Starfield, then I'd get to a point where I wanted Starfield to end, and that would ruin Starfield. I'd much rather play it the way that I am, where I do it at my own pace and go wherever I want, do whatever I want, and have fun with it. And then if I burn out, I can just like take a break. That suits my pacing much better than burning. They already announced a DLC. They did. It was part of the early access pack, which, by the way, I screwed up buying that, didn't I? Screwed up buying that. Unfortunately, I did the same thing many people did. I got the premium includes the DLC upgrade on the Game Pass version, which came with early access and came with that DLC. So the DLC was how I justified the price of it, because the DLC will probably be 20 quid anyway. So I picked that up, played it 5 days early, and then found out yesterday or the day before the script extender, the key to the best mods in the game, doesn't work with the Game Pass version. So I'm going to need to get it on Steam at some point. For the best mods, and most notably, very likely, for the VR mods. You're glad you're back to work next week so that burnout doesn't happen. It's like, it's such a good game that I want to play it. I do. Like, I could quite easily spend a lot of hours just messing around with it, but I don't want to force myself to the end. Which has been another like open discussion, different recommendations from different people on how you're supposed to play the game. Ignore them and play it however you want, like I do. Chaos everywhere. What kind of mayhem have you been creating, Replicant? If only AMD weren't so awkward with free game codes. Indeed. And well, shout out Replicant there, because he had a code from some AMD hardware that he offered to share with me for the Steam version so that I could get around this problem. Turned out a little bit difficult. He couldn't share it with me, so I will have to pick it up the old-fashioned way when I can, or when I need to. You're going to get it on Steam eventually, Dennis. Yeah, it's going to be necessary. It's a funny thing. It's like, but let's talk about, so that leads me on to something Todd Howard was saying about it. There's been a couple of things that Todd and Phil have been saying in interviews about Starfield this week. One of the things that Todd Howard said was he was talking up the benefits of platform exclusivity, so it being identified as an Xbox game specifically. He said that when you think of Zelda, would like to claim how you met me naked. I would like to hear the story, Tony. Please do. Thank you for being a member for 2 months. I hope you enjoy your badge that I drew. They're very nice badges. I do like the badges. That's thrown me off because I want to know the story of how you met me naked. But yeah, he said he tried to liken it to the way that people would associate a Zelda game with Nintendo, because they've just been Nintendo forever. Is there any possibility that Starfield gets linked to Xbox in that way? Do you think it has the potential to be like an Xbox flagship The reason that the Steam conversation brought me to that is because it's a little bit funny to talk about it as an Xbox like flagship, always associated with the platform game, when it's going to live its best and longest life on Steam. But is it, like, for you, is Starfield Xbox and Xbox Starfield? It's really easy to see with Halo, because Halo has like a mascot character. It's called the Chief, and the Chief is definitely Xbox. And it's easy to see with Zelda for the same reason. You've obviously got Zelda in his green hat, you know, that guy Zelda, the main character. Same with Mario. But does it work on games where the main character isn't a character? Can Starfield do that? I don't know the answer. I'm asking you. Do you think of when you see the name Starfield and you hear the music, do you think Xbox? Is that a thing? Yeah, I'm not for or against it. It's neither a good thing or a bad thing for me. I'm just curious if people are making that link that Todd was talking about or not. Yes, Tony, you can still throw me off. It's the capital letters that do it. And, you know, and the nakedness. Alex, did the user review come out for Starfield or Metacritic? I don't know, actually. User reviews for a game like that, though, for any big game that's associated to a platform in the way that Starfield has been, or tied into console wars, user scores on Metacritic are kind of worthless, right? To be fair, Xbox and Microsoft are pretty much presenting themselves as PC ambassadors. It's not really that important if you buy it on a Microsoft system or Steam. It's not, no, that's true. It's just Bethesda obviously have a really strong historical link to PC anyway. They have their link to Xbox. Like Morrowind was an Xbox game, Oblivion Xbox game. Like they have. I'm not saying they don't have ties to Xbox, but Western RPGs have always had like a PC identity as well. So I don't know if it's thought of more so as an Xbox game or a PC game or what, because I don't particularly see things in those terms myself. It's difficult for me to like see the general broad perception of the games. Barry is an Xbox mascot now. No, I'm the main character, Tom. I can't even remember. Oh, Rick Pure is an Xbox mascot now. Oh, I'm brilliant at making characters, it turns out. You get Todd's point. He must be getting bored of how often he gets asked about exclusivity and no PlayStation 5 version. Yeah, I'm sure he is. And I also get his point. And the other thing he was obviously talking about was the advantages in terms of being able to optimize it and really target a platform properly, which is all fair enough and all stuff that we've talked about before as well. Starfield will have the longest legs on PC, not console, due to the mods. Yeah, not just on PC, on Steam specifically, if Script Extender remains Steam exclusive. It'll have its longest legs on Steam because Steam will have all of the wacky mods that really change up the game. Minecraft! That's the... What? That news anchor was annoying. I've not actually watched the interview. I saw he was bopping his head quite a lot. And they had a question from... it was a audience question, right? About the game not being optimized for PC or whatever. Such a weird... Like, gets thrown around erroneously so often. Things being badly optimized or poorly optimized or not optimized. For reasons that often don't make any sense whatsoever. Right? I'm not going to get into that right now. That's a slightly interesting topic. What it means for a game to be well optimized. In fact, let's slightly touch on that because I've got no topics today. So why not? How would you define a well optimized game? What makes a game well optimized? On the PC, it's a bit easier on console. What makes a game well optimized in the PC space? Because this is where all of the weirdness generally floats around. The news anchor was annoying. He asked and smiled like a fanboy when he asked it twice. Well, that's a shame. You think it's relevant? Microsoft bought Minecraft and you've always hated when people try to claim Minecraft for points. Oh, this is a bit different though, because like Starfield was made and released as a Microsoft game. Minecraft was obviously like not It existed as Minecraft, as like the biggest game in the world before. And I'm sure some people would argue that Starfield was already going to be Starfield before Microsoft were there, but I think they can claim it fairly enough. Yeah, you do have to explain. When you just yell Minecraft in capital letters, it's always worth explaining why you're yelling Minecraft. Bethesda was already Bethesda, that is true. But Xbox did give Starfield that extra year of development that probably has made a difference in its favour. So they get credit for some areas of it. And Xbox are the ones that made it platform exclusive. So if they want to talk about the advantages of being exclusive to a platform, then Xbox get credit for that, right? You don't need a reason to yell Minecraft. That's true, but I need to know why you're yelling it to be able to do anything with it. Otherwise, you're welcome to yell it. Just don't necessarily expect me to know what to do with it. Ask me more stuff. Nobody's taken up on the what's a well-optimized PC game question, so we'll gloss over that. I should remember, no, because you could be shouting Minecraft for a different reason in future. 3 key bindings, overall ability to change lots of settings in general, graphics, sounds, and inputs. So that's not stuff that I would typically see people associate with optimization, Dennis, but it being a good PC version, those are certainly expectations that people have for a good PC version. PC gamers are furious if they can't fix their key bindings or use their ultra-wide monitors. So yes, you're right on that, but well optimized. What's the answer? It depends. Well optimized CPU optimization. Joe, I've not mentioned it being too hot because where I am, it's actually pretty chill. It is very, very hot. Very hot. CPU optimization so that GPUs are fully utilized. Well, that's always it's a notable problem if you're playing a PC game and you're struggling for frames, and when you look at it, your graphics card isn't being used well. So that comes up as it's part of the discussion around optimization, yes. Because everybody wants to see their GPU utilized. But at the same time, if you've got your GPU underutilized, but actually the game is performing really, really well, then it's not a problem anymore, right? That's not necessarily poor optimization in that sense. On your CPU optimization one, so let's say your GPU is running at 100%. What's better optimized? A game that's running at like 5% CPU use, or a game that's running at 90% CPU use? Because I see people throw this might sound silly, and that's because it is silly, but I see people use this all the time. They see high numbers in certain places and go, "Well, it's not optimized." What's correct CPU usage for a well-optimized game? It's a trick question. There's not a correct answer. It's just something that people don't seem to understand when they're looking at it. Good frame pacing, no shader compilation. Yeah, those are. So I think a good example of bad optimization at the moment in the PC space, and I hate to say it because it's a wonderful game, but Baldur's Gate 3, I would consider that poorly optimized because it's not consistent. So if you are a PC player and you're trying to set your own settings and all the rest of it, if you play through Baldur's Gate 3, I haven't got here myself, but it's quite notorious by this point. If you get to Baldur's Gate, the city in the game, your performance will tank horrendously. That's a sign of a poorly optimized area of the game, because when games are made, like when you're developing them and you've got your artists and all the rest of it, you generally work to a resource budget, and you shouldn't have parts of the game that are vastly over budget relative to the rest of the game, to the extent that it's going to like degrade the experience in a big chunk of the game for a lot of people. In Baldur's Gate 3, they've got an area of the game that has not met their own resource targets whatsoever. So that's an example of bad optimization, but just one. It's really, really difficult to say. So using Starfield as the example, because I've seen some videos saying that Starfield is badly optimized and some people saying that it is brilliantly optimized. Todd Howard saying, yeah, it is optimized, you need better hardware. How do we feel about Starfield? Is Starfield a well-optimized game, or is it a poorly optimized game? I've not had any shader compilation issues. I've not had bad frame pacing or jitter. Well optimized game, poorly optimized game. And if it's poorly optimized, what makes it so? And the difficulty in determining whether Starfield is well optimized or poorly optimized is typically when you haven't got a fixed set of hardware to really understand if this is using that hardware well or using that hardware badly. You kind of need some points of reference. You need games that are doing similar things, so you can go side by side and go, actually, this game is doing everything that Starfield does and it's performing way better, therefore Starfield is not very well optimized. But there are no cases like that. There are no games doing what Starfield does for you to make a direct comparison on how well it is using the resources in any PC. So how do you call it? How do you call it well optimized or badly optimized with no points of reference like that? Do you look at it and go, well, that CPU number is high and or low, therefore it's badly optimized? I don't have an issue with it. I've seen a lot of people saying that it's badly optimized, and I'm wondering where they're pulling that from. How they're defining optimization to be able to say that Starfield is badly optimized. You look at it and say, where's your 60 frames per second? Well, now you're talking console version, which... Trust me, bro, but a lot of people do trust them, Dennis. That's what gets me. I've seen people parroting it. I'm like, oh, have you seen this? No, it's definitely badly optimized. This person said so. Okay. People get a lot of trust if they speak confidently enough. Needs a slight bit of optimization on NVIDIA GPU. See, this is again, though, like, this is you saying that based on having a point of reference, because now you're saying this bit of hardware compared to this bit of hardware, and you've got your expectations based on that point of reference. So that makes more sense. Like I can follow you on that. I can see what you're getting at. Music died. No, there is some music still there. It's just a very quiet, peaceful bit of Skyrim. Why are there no glasses? It's the space age. In space, there isn't that much to see, so nobody bothered getting their eyesight fixed. You thought I was going to say that everybody's eyesight was perfect in the space age, but no. People just went, it's kind of empty. Don't really need glasses. My neighbours look kind of bug-eyed. Think I'll stick with blurry vision. What did you miss? You had to do chores and a fresh cup of Turkish coffee. Oh, fancy. I don't know what you missed. This is a show of no topics. In fact, where are we? 10 past 10. Yeah, it's going alright. It's going alright. You've made yourself on Starfield. Do you normally do that? I have, like... Oh, well, there's no glasses, so you couldn't. I see. I have quite a fun video on what kind of character you make. I like that video. It's one of my favourite ones, the ones that Isla edited for me. About the different kinds of characters that people make when they're making their games. Yeah, episode 13 is a Cole Eastwood. Makes himself. Do you always make yourself, or is this a Starfield special because you fancied it? What is everyone playing? Lots of Starfield mostly is what we're getting. Not just Starfield though, people did have a few other ones that they threw up. You normally make a nice lady, elf type or something. So did you not make a nice lady on this one because there were no elves available? Too late, I am reading deep into that. What am I drinking without your consent, Tony? Whatever the correct answer is what I'm drinking. Sniper the Viper, yes, you're playing Baldur's Gate 3. Viper the Sniper. Vipers should definitely be using poison daggers, so that's an unfortunate mistake, but we'll let you carry on. Dennis, you've just finished the wonderful Quake 2 remaster. You went from Quake 2 to both expansions, the N64 version and the Machine Games expansion. Is the Machine Games one, is it quite jarring to go from base Quake 2 to the Machine Games one, or did they kind of nail the vibe? Tom, you tried to make you looks like a skinny bald lass at times though, so you succeeded. Good job. I never make myself. I used to try it like long ago. I would have tried to make myself in the game and gone, no, I don't really know what I look like. I can't make myself, and given up. Made the most different characters that I could. You want to make a floppy haired 6'4" and half sexy geek like yourself. The left half or the right half? Who knows? Joe, you're curious about what specifically the CPU is doing in this game that it's not doing in generic Unreal Engine 4 game. Your understanding is that you could lower the graphics settings, but the CPU wise, 60 frames per second wouldn't be possible. Yeah, there's a couple of things that on the console side of things, it's a bit of a hypothetical because it's not doing it and we can't see. But if you were to, if 60 frames per second had been the target, if they had changed all of the like physics and objects and geometry and all the rest of it that's demanding, because 60 frames per second was the target, would they also have had to scale the graphics much? Would the lighting be as good as it is? Because there's obviously multiple elements that they need to nail to deliver that higher performance. And if they had made the decision based on one element to go for 30, then it kind of cuts any restrictions on those other elements as well. So it might look quite different if they had gone 60. There is a lot going on. It's one of the things that I like about it though. Apple is buying Nintendo. Okay, Tony, okay. Can you imagine Apple buying Nintendo? Nintendo would never allow it, just like they didn't like Microsoft buying them. You liked the thumbnail? Which thumbnail? Today's one. Dennis, it's perfect. It's very much a remix inspired by the shorter N64 version. It also gives the game a proper ending. Oh, I've never played the campaign in Quake 2. I've never played Quake 2, really. I played a lot of Quake 3 Arena, but that's obviously very different. I've definitely never followed the story through or got to any kind of ending. I think I did play Quake 4 through in that one's campaign. He made Erling Haaland just like drag various sliders right to the end. I used to make, there was a Pro Evo game a long time ago. And I made every character, I just dragged various sliders as far as they would go and called them all Dowie. They were all part, like they were, in my headcanon, they were Ian Dowie's extended family. It was awful, it was awful. Poor Ian Dowie. You think some need to keep their expectations in check with what consoles can do. Yeah. They do have limitations, but at the same time, I still think 60 frames per second will remain common on these consoles for a long time yet. God Emperor Sofa King, welcome. How are you doing? What are you playing? This game is too hard. I don't know where you got that idea from, because no games are too hard for me. I'm brilliant at games. I don't really struggle. One time you made 2 Sims with opposite extreme features and you bred them. The baby corrupted your game. Yeah, that can happen in real life as well. Quake 4 is a sequel to Quake 2, and the machine game expansion is also marrying Quake 1 and Quake 2 story-wise. I heard for the first time today that people that liked Quake 1 were quite unhappy with the change of setting between Quake 1 and Quake 2. I didn't even know there was a change of setting. Tony, I've never missed point blank any enemy in Starfield. You're not paying attention. Starfield's environments are highly interactive and there are lots of things that I want to shoot. So I don't miss anything. I'm not necessarily choosing the boring target that you would choose. The enemy right in front of me. Boring. There's more fun things to shoot, and that's what you're witnessing. Yep. When it happens in Immortals of Avium, it's harder to justify then, because nothing is interactive when I shoot it. But for Starfield, I can get away with it. But like, yeah, I meant to shoot that thing that fell over. 95 hours in, going for a new game plus soon. Ah, you're way further than me. Way further, but it sounds like you're having a good time, so awesome. I want some really cool weapons in Starfield. I want explosive weapons because I just like exploding stuff. What else? Let's do the questions. Not the Q&A questions, but I promised this was going to be, I'm Sarah Morgan, I'm completely open. Ask me questions. What do you want to know? This is like a very limited opportunity that Tony might instantly put an end to, depending on what comes out of this. What made Skyrim such a long-running game? Will it be the same with Starfield? Like, yes, it will. Yes, it will. What's a more interesting question there for me is, why isn't it the same with Fallout? The Skyrim modding community is immense. And obviously Bethesda put a lot of love into Skyrim, and like Anniversary Edition, Special Edition, VR Edition, and all the rest of it. They kept re-releasing and re-releasing and re-releasing, but the mod community on Skyrim is still so very vibrant. That game is improving all of the time. One of the things that they did in Skyrim actually that's applicable to Starfield is there were mods like here's Whiterun, but all of the building interiors are part of the city, so you don't need load screens anymore every time you go through a door. That's going to make quite a quick and effective difference in Starfield, isn't it, when that inevitably starts happening there as well? The fact that Starfield has a script extender already means that it's going to be modded forever and ever and ever and ever. It's going to last as long as Skyrim, I would think. It's like, it's a bigger canvas as well, letting people make their whole planets and all the rest of it. Starfield is going to stick around. I'm really hoping that the VR mod comes sooner rather than later, because when I play the game and I'm picking stuff up in the same way, like you hold, I think it's A by default, it's Y for me, but you pick stuff up and it hovers in front of you and you can drag the corpses around and stuff like that, and I'm doing that and it's just making me want to play Skyrim. The mods in Skyrim use quite clever techniques. They kind of in VR you use your hand to grab something and you can pick it up and you can interact with the world in ways that Skyrim VR out of the box should have done but didn't do. And the mod community, to do that, essentially they manipulated the gravity system so that your hand is essentially, when you grip, a very micro, very strong source of gravity. So you can pick up objects that have physical properties and weight and move them around. And it just feels like you're grabbing them like you'd expect to in a VR game, but it's the mod community that did this. And that's going to happen in Starfield as well. Like, the same concept is going to apply and they're going to make it phenomenal. MetaConnect is the 27th and the 28th. That's going to be fun. There'll be VR games. MetaConnect is coming like right on the prelude of the Quest 3 releasing, so there should be plenty of games at MetaConnect this year. I am looking forward to it. Can I co-stream it? What day of the week is that? Apple Vision, you'll be able to play Skyrim with no controller and just your hands. Yeah, that'll be awful, Tony. How are you going to walk? Freaking Apple Vision. Wednesday or Thursday? Well, it depends on when it is. If it's a Wednesday, then I might not be able to, depending on the time of day, but we'll see. Valve is also working on a new VR headset. Yes, they are. Lots of recent rumors that that's also going to be a standalone competitor to the Quest rather than purely a PC VR headset, which I don't particularly care for. I'd rather it was just PC VR, but whatevers. As long as it can do the PC VR. Valve are good people in the PC and VR spaces. You want to be Spy Kids. Spy Kids 3, Project Dickhead. Yeah, I've seen other project names going around, but Deckard was around for a while. It probably is still a name, but there's a few different bits of hardware that have special names, and people get confused on which one is the VR headset or whether they've even got more than one coming. More questions. Give me more questions. Oh, wait. Tom asked a question. Is there a difference between global illumination and ray/path tracing? There is a difference in that. So global illumination is light bouncing around the environment. So you get natural lighting on surfaces that might not have a direct path to your light source. You can use ray tracing to achieve global illumination. It's one way of doing that. You can have your light and you can have your rays bouncing around to globally illuminate under under nooks and crannies of things to get that nice natural lighting effect, but it's not the only way to do that. It gets very confusing when you look at Unreal Engine 5 because they've got Lumin as their lighting system, which is a global illumination system that is ray tracing based, but not necessarily hardware ray tracing based. There's a switch on there. You can use software ray tracing that doesn't need hardware accelerators and has a much smaller range. It has like a 200 yard range or 200 mythical distance range. Or you've got a ray tracing version of it that does the same thing over a much larger distance. In the case of Starfield, they're not using ray tracing, but they are bouncing their light sources, so it's very fancy. Global illumination is for round tits. No, global illumination is for underboob. If you want the light to bounce properly underneath geometry, we'll say, then global illumination might be helpful. And path tracing, same thing. Same thing. Is ray tracing the future of gaming, and why is the answer yes? Of course it will be a big part of the future of gaming. When hardware can push it fast enough, then it just becomes a no-brainer for development to have real and natural lighting. It's been like, we're in a situation where for the longest time with old methods of rasterization and shortcuts and all the rest of it, people have been very, very creative to find methods to make things like reflections and make things like lighting very, very convincing, and like not too resource intense, to the point where actually they are very, very good at it. But you can see the differences, you can see the flaws, and things like the lighting system in Starfield is really intense, but it allows them to. It allows the stars to move and the environment to be lit really naturally, which is why the time lapses that I was talking about earlier would look so good, because as all the stars move against each other, the lighting of the environment and every object in it is cast naturally and looks phenomenal. But normally when you play a game that doesn't need to do that hasn't made it a specific part of their vision to have really cool lighting, then they'd use baked lighting. They'd paint. Well, they don't paint. They cast all of the shadows on a big rendering farm and then paint those into the environment so that they don't need to do it in real time, which is good, but it limits what you can do in terms of moving light sources, in terms of dynamic weather and time of day and things like that. When ray tracing is normal, that'll be like an afterthought, because everything will be supernatural. They just like they make it as if it's real. They go, well, here's a light, and they don't need to worry too much about painting where that light would cast shadows, because it is actually a light within that environment and it will bounce. They don't need to worry about whether that light is actually on screen, whether it's been occluded by stuff that's not rendering anymore, and all of this kind of stuff. So yes, it will be the future. It will be cool, and hopefully AMD will be able to get there as well. You think Microsoft will let Bethesda do VR since they already have the tools? I don't think Microsoft will let Bethesda do it, but I really hope that they do. You know, what would be ideal is if Bethesda did a good VR version that didn't need the mod community to fix it, but I'd take anything. I'm not sure the mod community need Bethesda to do it though. I think they may be able to do it anyway. We shall see. Physics is the future of gaming. Yes, Tony, everybody wants to see improvements to physics. That's why I'm enjoying smashing and exploding everything in Starfield. You heard Gaz going on about the global illumination in Starfield, and it confused you because there's no ray tracing. That's a funny one. I really specifically told Colt before one of his videos, don't call it ray tracing. Nobody said that it's ray tracing. It's global illumination. What did he do? He went and called it ray tracing. This was a while ago. Fable Legends had global illumination. Fable Legends is a cancelled game from the Xbox One, I think. There are lots of different ways that you can do it. But yes, Pixelbit G, Starfield has really good global illumination, even though it's not using hardware ray tracing or whatever. And I say hardware ray tracing because they could be doing like Unreal Engine 5 does, where actually they are doing some form of ray tracing. It's quite a complicated thing. The overlapping technologies there. But anyway, let's do Gaz tracing, yeah, that's funny. We had a period of time where the consoles were new. So when the Xbox Series and the PlayStation 5 came out and ray tracing was on the tip of everyone's tongues and we were promised great things, every time a game had a puddle with any kind of reflection in it, Gaz would get all excited because he'd seen ray tracing. To the extent that we ended up calling it real-time Gaz tracing. Because every reflection, Gaz tracing, it's Gaz tracing. You can see it. Yes. I find Forza games are really hard to identify because they've got really good system of reflections. If you play Forza Horizon 5, you could be quite easily deceived by the quality of those reflections. Dennis, you want shooters with better AI enemies. You remember how much fun, how much of a fuss Unreal Tournament's, Fears, and Quake 3's AI was. But it feels like after the whole multiplayer boom, studios cut down on smart enemy AI. AI is a really complicated one. Halo is the other good example. The first Halo game's AI really stood out and made the game fun. And you look back at it and you can see it as fairly basic now. You could say the same about Fear and Quake and all of those, because obviously they are old now. The tricky part is people don't actually want good AI. AI is a trick. Like, what is it that you want the AI to do? Because if you have AI that's smart, then your game is too hard. You need a hero story. You need the AI to be massively inadequate relative to the player. Otherwise, your game is too hard. So it's all about selling the illusion that the AI is smart, that the AI is thinking that the AI is like doing clever things. But it can't actually be clever. Or everyone will just get rinsed every single game they're playing because it's 1 against 100. So what would convince you? What do you want to see improve in AI? What's the behavior that's making you go, oh, this AI is not very good? Another good example of the perfect dark game on the N64. You could set like 15 bots on a map against you, and you could tune that AI to be as hard as you want. But the tuning was, it didn't actually make them like smarter. They still behaved in exactly the same way. But the dials that you had were their response time, like how quickly they would react to you being in line of sight, and their accuracy. And if you put them on the highest on both, then you were absolutely screwed, because as soon as they had any line of sight of you, then you were shot in the head. So it was very difficult AI, but it was not clever AI. But if you go the other way, if you go, right, well, we're going to have clever AI, but we're also going to try and balance it, like difficulty-wise, then you end up like neutering their ability to actually see you. So they'll get line of sight, but they'll deliberately miss you to keep the game fair. So that will be tricky as well. They need to implement machine learning in AI, but then we'll all be screwed, wouldn't we? We'll all die. Real good AI would annihilate us all in a game, especially if it's not a 1v1 game. And I'm not picking apart your request, Dennis, because I get it, I understand. But I'm just like lifting the surface and wondering what should they do? What should the AI do differently to appear smarter without actually being smarter? I used to like the AI in the first Gears of War game as well. More, and I say the first one specifically because 2, 3, 4, and 5, they were fun games, but the first one was the only one, oh, and Gears Tactics, to be fair, was the only one that felt like you had to outmaneuver the enemy rather than stop and pop out, shoot them. And that was more to do with level design rather than AI behavior, but you always had the enemy trying to press round to the side of you and you trying to press round to the side of them. Oh, it was a good game, was Gears of War 1. Fear's AI is lots of smoke and mirrors. The AI knows your position all the time, so it shouts exactly what it's going to do next, so the player could plan how to counter. Nowadays, lots of shooter fodder. Yeah, that was, I think it was Insomniac that said that was one of the biggest advancements to AIs, is that they got the enemies to announce what they were going to do. So they'd like shout grenade or whatever before they threw a grenade, and it just made it feel so much better to the player. But smoke and mirrors is exactly right. It's what you need to give the illusion that you're fighting something smart without actually fighting something smart. Like terrible AI, Trepeng 2 on the PC is a really recent game, and it was likened to Fear. It was supposed to be like a spiritual successor to the Fear games. And that AI took the smoke and the mirrors and smashed its face against them and completely destroyed the illusion that the AI was anything. They did lots of announcing what they were going to do. Taking up ultimate formation, they'd keep on saying. But they'd stand behind a pillar, shooting that pillar because it was between you and them. Just incessantly shooting from a different room with no path to actually see you whatsoever. And it really fell apart very quickly. And the first Halo game, I mentioned that one as having good AI, and the one that really sold it, the grunts were funny and like they were fodder, but it was the elites, because the elites had a really similar ability set to the chief, and their responses to things like grenades were quite simple, but it made them feel like real enemies, and it was cool. But actually, when you looked at how Halo run, or if you like listen to dev commentary on it now, Halo and the Xbox that it ran on, it was only capable of fully running AI on like 1 or 2 enemies at a time. So actually, what you were getting was you'd be fighting that one elite and you'd be focused on it, and it would seem to be really smart. And while you were doing that, pretty much every other enemy in the scene was running on like a really basic script, not doing anything remotely smart. But it was good game design to sell the illusion that you were fighting smart enemies. Obviously, we've got more powerful systems now. You can power more AI at the same time. Replicant, important AI development in games for you is the improvement of NPC dialogue, like the recent NVIDIA AI bartender demo. Yeah, that's going to make a massive difference when you've got not like not chat GPT necessarily, like not connecting to the internet to get your chat, but like locally hosted AI chat, so that you can have a much more flexible, much more natural conversation with an NPC, especially when you start integrating like spoken voice. And this makes a lot of sense in VR, but it would make sense on pancakes as well. I hate talking to computers and things. I don't particularly like to do it, but to be able to go to an NPC and speak words and have them respond naturally is going to be massive when a game does it right. And we're not that far away from it. Like, it should be within the next 5 years, hopefully. So yes, that'll be an exciting use of AI in the AI sense. But in terms of enemy combatants, speaking of AI, actually, in Starfield, your companion AI, that's something that they haven't worked on since Skyrim. It's so funny when you're like, I'm going to stealth, and then your companion just like starts crouching in the middle of the room going, nah, they can't see us. Sarah, you're in the middle of the bar. Get off the table. What's my gaming schedule like? I stream when I can game at the moment. I very rarely get to game outside of that. So most evenings I play 2 or 3 hours, and that's the best I can get. I'd like to say like I get 43 hours every day to play games, but I do not. Trade Paying was made by a team of 4 guys. Well, that is cool. It does have some nice stuff about it. Trade Paying, I don't want to be like mean. It's just that the AI was comically awful. The AI in Fear felt awesome whilst being all trickery. Trickery is still what you need. Trickery is still... Nobody wants to get slaughtered, do they? Pixelbit G, we should see how much we like AI after this new motorsport comes out. What are they changing in Forza? Forza always had, or not always, but for a long time it's had its drivatar system that was like, oh, cloud data, we take player driver styles and crunch them into avatars and then pipe them down to people's Xboxes to run locally, and it behaves like your friends or whatever. Which was an interesting concept. Kind of questionable in how effective it was, but the AI in Forza was more interesting than competitive AI in most other games. These days, Gran Turismo's got its weird, I can't remember what they call it, like Sophia AI or something, isn't it? A special project, an AI that's supposed to be very, very good at racing. It's supposed to be quite human-like, but actual learning AI that races very well. As an AI experiment that I haven't attempted to race against, but I'm sure I would lose. What is Forza Motorsport doing with AI that's new? Is it advancing the drivatar system, or has it done something unusual? Can you equip Vasco with weapons, or is he only using the optical laser? I don't know, Dennis. I don't know. They fixed Jedi Survivor. It's a very enjoyable game. Will I give it a try? I downloaded it yesterday. And as I can't get Red Dead Redemption 2 to work, I might make Jedi Survivor my alongside Starfield, alongside Baldur's Gate 3, alongside Skyrim. I really want to get through Skyrim in VR now. The more I play Starfield, the more I want to play Skyrim. So alongside Starfield, Baldur's Gate and Skyrim, I might get Jedi Survivor on the go, yes. The new one is supposed to be good enough to beat you without rubber banding and boosting. But that's not a difficult thing to achieve. You could make AI that was good enough to beat you without rubber banding and boosting. You just make it follow the track really well. And then you wouldn't sell the illusion or the quality side of it. Like, that wouldn't be smart AI necessarily. We shall see. So the thing that like with shooting games, really, the thing that racing game AI needs to do is convince you that it's like flexible and real, rather than actually be good at driving. So it still needs to be smoke and mirrors, really. The Forza games, Forza Horizon actually, and probably Motorsport as well, they did give you possibly too much. It's a difficult one in racing games on how they handle difficulty, because you can do what Forza Horizon does, which is prompt the player to set their own challenge level and then prompt them to adjust it when they're winning too comfortably. So you're probably better at Forza Horizon than me, so you've probably been challenged plenty, where it's like, you're winning too easily, you should up the difficulty. You're winning too easily, you should up the difficulty until you've tuned it into your own kind of speed, and then if you get better at the game, it'll eventually prompt you again. That's one way of doing it. You've got Gran Turismo 7. Doesn't like, if there are difficulty settings, I haven't noticed them. In Gran Turismo 7, you can overpower the races very easily. At least at the part of the game that I'm on, you can just drive a faster car than everyone else. But your opponents don't change how well they drive. They're going to do their times in reasonable times, and you just have to try and be better than them, either by driving better or by getting a better car. And then you go back to something like Drive Club that had notoriously bad rubber banding, or like Mario Kart will do this as well, where you can be good, bad, or indifferent. And in the case of Drive Club in particular, the rubber banding was so obvious. If it was a 3-lap race, you could like reverse backwards against the barrier for the first 2.5 laps, turn around and drive forwards, and that was probably your best bet for winning the race, because your badness will have slowed down the cars that you were racing against so much. But the advantage of rubber banding is obviously that, unlike Gran Turismo, when you're racing, there will always be cars on the road to kind of sell the illusion that you're in a hot race and you're trying to overtake and all the rest of it, rather than have them actually play fair. So it's a weird one to get right in a racing game, but in a motorsport game, you would expect that they have to play fair. Rubber banding's like not okay in a sim, is it? Or is it? I don't know. Tony, you did that, kept getting more difficulty, and I said no to 1v1 in Forza. Tony, you know my rules on racing games. When Forza gets VR, I will 1v1 you repeatedly, or stay in there for hours. The AI have like 30 options for lines that they can take, so it should feel more realistic. We shall see. I always thought, like, previously, Forza's AI was ahead, like, in terms of feeling like you were playing against people. It was ahead of other games anyway, because there was that element of chaos. They did make mistakes in the way that I make mistakes, so they always felt kind of good like that. I've got 4 Q&A questions. Quick. Will I stream Forza Motorsport? No. Don't care about Forza Motorsport until it gets VR. You know this about me, Tony. I'm not trying to be obtuse or put down other people's fun. But it's not... I can't pretend to be interested. What I am interested in is EA's World Rally Championship game. That's got VR support coming post-launch. I know, like, VR, but racing games need it. They need it. And Forza doesn't have it. So all of these other features, it can have its ray tracing on tracks and all the rest of it. I'm interested in it as like a tech demo of what the Xbox is going to do, because Turn 10 are a phenomenal studio. I'm convinced that if they did add VR, it would be a brilliant game, because like for like against other racing games, the Forza games are fantastic. But they're not doing VR, so they're not competing in the area that I play my racing games. World Rally Championship, on the other hand, is post-launch getting PC VR support. I'm very likely to play that one a lot more. I used to have like a rumbly seat setup when I used to play Project Cars. A really good rumbly seat setup, so when you went over bumps and stuff, it was like the correct side of the car would bump, 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 bump. I might get that back. Oh, that's exciting. I might get that back. Fun times. Ask me more questions, because this is the special Q&A. We have run a reasonable length now, so it will end up fairly soon. But throw me some spicy questions. Not spicy, that's the wrong word. Don't encourage Tony. Throw me some questions that I wouldn't normally answer. Dennis, even though Microsoft doesn't want to sell VR gear, why don't they simply let third party do the hardware and enable VR on consoles? VR on consoles is not necessarily ready. And that would still take some effort from them, Dennis. And my wish for Microsoft is that they always openly say that they think that like the PC system is like the experimental side of PC things is more suited for VR. That's where it belongs at the moment. They want to see how it grows there. They support it in that space. I just want to see them do that, like to support it in that space and let their studios play with VR ports if they want to, which we know that Bethesda would. Bethesda released everything in VR. And we know that Ninja Theory probably would. Like, you can play Hellblade in VR. And we know that In Exile would. You can play Mage's Tale in VR. I just wish that Microsoft would still actually support the technology in the PC space like they say that they do, rather than acquire studios and stop them from working there. WRC game looks real good. It does look real good. Close to Dirt Rally. Well, it's made like Codemasters. EA acquired Codemasters, doesn't it? So it's like a best of. It's the best of Dirt and World Rally Championship. They say it's using mostly the physics engine from the Dirt Rally game, but in Unreal Engine 5. So it should be so good. VR looks dead so far. I love my VR. I love all of my VR. PlayStation VR's got some cool stuff. Even if my PC VR system is like, it's a better setup than my PlayStation VR. If I didn't have the PC one, I would be on the PlayStation one a lot more than I am. But even with that, I still play quite a lot of Gran Turismo. Haven't seen this new rally game. Oh, Replicant, it's a rally game. There's rally cars. They drive around. There's like snow and mud. What year are we in? WRC 2023. Yeah, that'll be it. No, this is real racing. Here we go. EA Sports, the reveal trailer for it. This might not be the right one, but from the creators of Dirt Rally. You missed that, Replicant, but that's how it started. From the creators of Dirt Rally. Racing cars. There'll be mud. Some of this is game and some of this is people. Pez dispensers and a toaster. Hang about. Alex, the biggest problem with VR at the moment is still that Sony won't tell us what they're doing, if they're doing anything. But it is in a difficult place. I spoke a couple of weeks ago about like the price of games kind of being a shared burden with the people that want to play them. Not many people want to play VR games, so the budget to make them is almost non-existent. Chicken and egg situation. And make it sound very sexy. You've got to work out a way of getting the wheel near the Xbox and telly. Yes, you do. Unreal Engine 5. I'm sure I saw that it was Unreal Engine 5. Yes, I'm sure it said that it took the Dirt Rally. I don't know what engine Dirt Rally ran on, but it took the physics engine out of that, stuck it in Unreal Engine 5. Like racing, but rally. And rally is the best kind of driving anyway, right? This doesn't look good. Oh, Replicant. It's going to look good. Sharp. You're not seeing it in the VR. And yes, it'll be on EA Play Pro, which is the other thing that makes it enticing. Same with UFC 5 got revealed today. Also on EA. I wouldn't buy that game, But as long as they actually do a PC version this time, I'll be able to play it, right? You meant it looks good, okay. You said the opposite, it's very confusing. Your brother and you watched all of the Weird Al music videos on loop when you were kids. Good. Good. Next thing, any other questions? Anything you want to see? Anything you want to talk about? I was hoping there would be like more controversy. Alex, for you, it's World of Warcraft on console. That's all you want, or on GeForce Now. You're playing at the moment on your PC, though, right? Like you're still into your World of Warcraft. Isla is sharp. Good. Hot take. PSVR will be the last Sony VR headset. I hope not Replicant, but it could be. I still... like... I'm really disappointed with Firewall Ultra from them. The last thing they published was just bad at the point of launch. The key to PlayStation VR 2 being appealing to anyone or like economically viable for Sony is the hybrid development that they promised, which is to say that they bring like VR versions of their big games, and they've not breathed a word of actually doing it. So if they don't, then it's going to die on its ass, realistically. Nobody other than Sony has like the motivation or whatever to spend that kind of money to make the big games that people want to actually sell the thing in the first place. Sony should have that motivation. They should have that incentive. They haven't done it yet, and they haven't told us that they're doing it. They suggested that it was their plan. They said, we're going to do that. And the only like glimmer of hope is that they also haven't told us about any of their other games. They've not told us about anything exciting after Spider-Man, so who knows? Maybe their next wave of games actually will support PlayStation VR 2 and it will make a splash at that point. But if they start announcing like a new Uncharted or whatever and they don't mention PSVR 2, then I agree with you, there won't be a third one. Which isn't to say that VR will die, because, you know, Meta still seem quite determined, and Valve are going to do something cool. Apple are going to try, and maybe even Nintendo are going to try. Alex, you've got a Mac, so you can't play it on high graphics. Your Mac overheats. That's why you're using GeForce Now. I see. Well, yes, I also hope you get a version of it you can play then. Do you play retail WoW, or do you play classic? A new Astrobot was just announced, Dennis. What kind of Astrobot? Is this a VR Astrobot? Because people love that. Wait. What's it called? I need to see this. Astrobot. PSVR. Astrobot. No, 4 years ago. Can you watch movies on it? No. Where, Dennis? What's it called? Is it on the PlayStation channel? I'll look there. Bear with me a second. I don't mean to aggressively yell at you. I'm just... like, the timing is so fitting. Like, they've actually just announced a VR game. That would be exciting. That would suggest that they care a little bit. If they've just announced it and not even put it on their own YouTube channel, that might say the opposite. 5 hours ago. Oh, they're keeping it pretty secret from me. Little Big Planet VR. Dreams VR would have made sense. They were going to do that and they cancelled it, which is also not encouraging. I don't see it. Or I'd show you. I had heard that they had renewed some Astrobot like trademarks or whatever, and people were hoping that it was indicative of an imminent VR announcement. So I believe you, but I can't see it. As long as Sony are breaking even on all of the costs, why would they care if it succeeds? They're not breaking even on the costs. Like, they can break even on the cost of the hardware, but the research and development that went into it is going to take some recouping. And the research and development to build a new one is also not going to be trivial. But David Jaffe said that Sony like to just like make things because they think they're cool. And if that's true, maybe we will get another one. Random article. Hang on. I clicked it. Am I sure I want to leave YouTube? I wasn't even on YouTube. Oh, yes, I was. I clicked it in the chat. Go to the site. Sony working on a new Astrobot game. September 4th. No, that's too old. Ever since its launch, blah, blah, blah. Fascinating turn of events. Sony. Yeah, this is just based on the tweet that they filed the trademarks. I saw that tweet. But there's no more of a story there than that. But thank you. It is what this is based on. So you like modern WoW. Classic is too slow for you. Fair enough. Don't blame you. Although Classic WoW's reached Wrath of the Lich King, which was peak World of Warcraft in its day. That article is just based on a trademark, Dennis. I don't know if you've seen anything else about it, but I'm still like optimistic that it'll appear. What else? Any more questions before we do the questions? Ooh. Oh, I think we're ready. I think we're ready to go through the Q&A box. So let's do it. Let's do the first question if you're about at the moment, Isla. Half-Life Alyx is a miss for PSVR 2. It is. I'm surprised that that's not there yet. I don't think Valve would necessarily be like massively objectionable. You're in bed? Right, Tony, your question. Will I ever give up playing games voluntarily? No, of course I won't. Why would I? Will any of you, like, do any of you anticipate that you're just going to stop playing games of your own free will at some point? Still physically able, still got your vision, still got your fingers. Just decide that you're not interested anymore at any point ever. Impossible for Isla. Maybe God Emperor Sofa King. Interesting. Why's that? What's gonna take your time instead? Not for me. Like, I mean, I already said I'm probably gonna die in Skyrim, but I don't anticipate stopping. If I'm actually able to play in any capacity, then I will. See, I've done the kids thing. They're fine. They're fine. You can still play games when you got kids, and then when they grow up a bit, you can play games with the kids. Stop dying. Yeah, I might stop dying. We'll see. See how technology evolves. It's not a bad idea though, Isla. I will try. Anybody else? Anybody got an answer to Tony's question besides that? I'm still going to play. I'm still going to play everything. I'm going to play that retro game Starfield when I'm dying. Stop dying. Oh no, you just told me to stop dying. I should stop that. If I had to rate Starfield, how many coconuts out of 1,000 would I award it? You know that I don't do ratings, but the coconut scale is just for fun. Well, it depends. Is a coconut a good thing or a bad thing? Am I rating this to someone who likes coconuts? Or if I was to say like 1,000 coconuts, would that be the cruelest form of torture? If I give enough coconuts to absolutely bury you. A coconut is good. Coconuts out of 1,000. 1,000 is quite a broad scale. I'm so little way into it, episode 13. So I think, I don't know. It's not, it best be over 700. Yeah, I see your game. No, you can't trick me into a review score for Starfield. I will not be tricked. Not even for fun. It's not like, I just can't grasp how you're supposed to assign a score to a game. Means so little. Does a lot right. If you go 1,000, then I could start going, oh, it gets this many coconuts for this, it gets this many coconuts for that, it gets this many coconuts for that, and end up with a score of 40,000 because it does a lot of things well. Cocoa nuts. Next question, please. Do I go to the gym? Not for a while. Not for a while. No. I also don't know why, don't know how, but an awful lot of weight recently fell off. So I'm not allergic to the gym, and I certainly have other means of getting exercise, but I do not go to a gym. No. Did it stop falling off yet? I don't know, actually. Don't know. Kratos, any games that I play that I keep coming back to? Yeah, Skyrim, obviously. Very slowly playing in VR. Every now and again, there's a couple of games on the Saturn that I like to go back to, in particular Shining Force 3. I don't play it regularly, and it's been a few years now, but I played that when it launched on the Saturn, and I played it many years apart, multiple times. Many years apart. So that's probably the weird one that I go back to. I had a crack at Panzer Dragoon Saga a year or two ago as well. Other things that I go back to that are old, though? Not many, really. Did revisit the first Halo game at some point. That's still fun. What about all of you? Any comfort games? We've definitely had this conversation before, but any comfort games that you revisit from time to time? And while you're answering, let's bring up the next question if there are any more. The Sims 2 on the DS. When was the last time you played The Sims 2 on the DS? Replicant, apart from VR and a Sarah Morgan nude skin, what are my top 3? Disappeared. Top 3 mods for Starfield, I'm assuming. That's a good question. VR's more broad than that, because obviously VR is a thing, but there's also going to be a lot of surrounding mods to make it. You'll have your VR mod that makes it VR, but you'll also need various things to interact with the environment. So if you exclude those, I want to see an equivalent of Dragonborn Speaks Naturally, which is a Skyrim mod that lets you speak the conversations, which sounds really silly, but is actually really good. So I want a Minor Speaks Naturally mod. That would be good. What else is really fun? I've not got a handle on what kind of weapons are in the game yet, as to how explodey things can get, but I probably want some mods to make things more explodey, because I like things being more explodey. And I'm not sure what kind of content is missing from Starfield, so I'm going to go with any mods to make travel and things a bit more seamless. So that can be, I talked about the Whiterun overhaul from Skyrim, where you no longer needed to load into all the buildings and stuff. I'd like to see planet level overhauls so that the various cities don't have so many loading, like the interiors become part of the city, but also things to make travel around space more seamless. And it doesn't necessarily need to make it, like, I'm not saying turn the game into No Man's Sky, but just make it a little bit less menu driven would be useful. So those are the ones that I'm going to say for now. Less menu driven, speak conversations, and whatever else. I can't remember what the other one I said was. Explodey, make everything more explodey. Are there any particular mods that any of you are like, Starfield needs to have this? You can't say nude Sarah Morgan because that was already ruled out, which is why I struggled so much with the rest of the answer. Starfield needs to make a DLC with the Alien franchise. I don't know about that, Tony. I don't really typically like franchise crossovers in serious games. There's room for Easter eggs and things, and Starfield is big and has a galaxy, so they could probably pull it off, but add the aliens from Toy Story and the Claw somewhere on Earth. Yes, why not? Wayne, you like to play Star Trek Online even though you've completed the missions tenfold. I don't know Star Trek Online. I kind of assumed that it was like a Destiny where it has an unlimited grind element to it, which might be why you completed the missions tenfold, I guess. Bound to be Easter eggs already in it. Yeah, there will be Easter eggs already in it. Easter eggs are Easter eggs. They can be fun, but I don't like when Final Fantasy XIV has a Nier Automata raid, or Lightning comes to visit, like the character from Final Fantasy XIII comes to visit. That kind of stuff is just weird. Weird. Oh, piloting mechs and things from the mini episodes. Yeah, that's an obvious miss at the moment. Land vehicles and stuff are definitely going to get modded in, aren't they? Those could be fun. Tom, a mod that showed you how much of each item you have in your inventory while shopping would be awesome. Or, I mean, there are already mods and console commands to make encumbrance less of a problem. So all kinds of stuff like that. I really want to play Starfield in VR. And the mod situation there is... There's a lot of potential, a lot of things to change. City maps, yeah. The maps are weirdly absent. I don't necessarily mind that, to be fair, but... They expect you to remember each ammo type and how many you have. Yeah, someone said when I got my shotgun and I scrolled through the ammo that vendor was selling and was like, oh, shotgun ammo, just like buy as much as I can afford. Someone questioned whether it was the right ammo and suddenly my world fell apart. I was like, what? Are there multiple types of shotgun ammo? Fortunately for me, it was the right kind of ammo, but you're right that that's not... There's no like handy indication of what you're doing there, so... Wayne, you're really pissed off with a bug in Starfield at the moment. One that keeps killing you, or like a software bug? What's going on, Wayne? What keeps breaking? You had a ton of materials, you got a new ship, and you lost all the stuff on the last ship. Were they stowed away in like a... I don't know how storage on the ships works because I've not really got any treasure yet. Or were they loose on the floor? Tom asked, if I were an AI called Sarah, what piece of info would I willfully give up for no apparent reason? No, Tom, you have to extract information. You have to ask directed questions. I'm just a poor, naive AI. I can't... Like, I'm being an AI called Sarah. I can't unprompted just say stuff. What Sarah does unprompted is she just gets angry at me for killing stuff. Tells me off for shooting people with shotguns and stuff. Talking about mechs, why is Squaler in the front mission IP lay dormant or be dead? You love front mission 3 so much. Good question. Maybe there'll be something in the works. I don't know. Square Enix have a whole new direction now, a whole new CEO. So maybe you'll get something good. I don't know about that, Wayne. I hear people say that things transfer across ships in weird ways. Like they have a ship and they get a new one, and the dead bodies from the old ship are moved to the new one in a way that doesn't necessarily make sense. You seem to have the opposite problem. Stuff you expected to transfer didn't. And yes, it sucks. Hope you didn't lose anything cool, like my hat that makes stuff like catch on fire. My hat is weird, by the way. In Starfield, I have a legendary helmet, and its property is that when stuff is near me, there's a chance that it catches fire, and it quite often does catch fire. But Starfield struck me as quite a serious game, and I don't understand why my hat is setting people on fire. I enjoy it because they scream and they go, ah, fire, and it's like, it's good fun, but it doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Yeah, I did, Tom, I did, but that's reversing it onto me and making me make it more edgy. I can't do it. You have to ask. Had loads of minerals, gold, and weapons. What are you going to do, Wayne? Are you just going to park that game and leave it in frustration? Or are you going to persevere and recover your stuff? Tony, you got arrested for contraband and now you're being forced to be undercover spy for the government. See, Tony... You're weak. I told them no. I got arrested for, I don't even know why I was arrested, but they also did the coercion thing, and I was like, no, I'll go to prison, thanks. Adventures from there. Good times, good times. And when you still love the game, so you're still going to have to play it and just be frustrated by your losses. Are there any more questions? You spent another 12 hours on it. Good. Good. I'm glad you're having fun. Didn't shoot my way out. I had no opportunity to shoot my way out. Episode 13. Would I rather never play Skyrim again or all VR games turn pancake forever? My choice. You've worded it wonderfully. I would sacrifice Skyrim over sacrificing VR. Especially, you didn't really specify if Skyrim is VR in that scenario. I don't want to lose Skyrim VR, but if it's Skyrim VR versus all other VR... It's a mean question. I'm gonna sleep sad tonight. Don't take stuff away from me. Andrea is the... I've not got to Andrea, but she sounds fun. I was getting along just fine with Sarah and her open answers to every single question. But then she got all moody at me for shooting people, which was a bit weird. That, episode 13, is a question that I probably won't redirect to the audience. I don't think anyone will have anything to say. Do I think that Grand Theft Auto 6 will flop? Not a chance. Do I think that it will be a sinister, shark card laden online cash grab? Much bigger chance. But no, I don't think it's going to flop. Don't think Rockstar know how to make a flop. Probably not strictly true. I'm sure they've had some along the way, but I don't think that one's going to fail. You've asked two amazing questions. You're keeping the show alive with comedy and coconuts. I appreciate them. I do. Don't get me wrong. I'm not actually going to sleep sad. What have we got? Oh, 22 people. I was tempted to go controversial, but no. What's the next question? That one can be redirected. Does anyone else have any thoughts on what kind of thing Grand Theft Auto 6 will be? Is it going to be a brilliant game? Is it going to be a flop? Is it going to be somewhere in between? Did I see the Metacritic review bombing of user score on Starfield? I didn't, God Emperor Sofa King, but I did anticipate it. It was inevitable. Sinister hard-on. More likely than innocent flop. Sinister... Not sure if that's what you meant to say, Tom. I don't know how to take that. I am thrown by Tom's sinister hard-on. Anything else before we wrap up? We're at 10 past 11, so this is more how the show's supposed to run, really. Thought. I don't know how it's gone this long, actually, because there were no topics today, and here we are. It runs, it's all good fun. Tony, motor, especially in the wheel racing community, they need something new and stop playing Assetto Corsa. That's half a thought, Tony. Where did the rest of it go? I've not really done Assetto Corsa. I did a bunch of Project Cars 2 with my rumbly seat because that worked really well. But it's quite hard to move away from Gran Turismo because it doesn't have loading times. The one downside of PC VR racing games in particular is they're not very gracious in the way that they load races. So, it takes too long, basically. In Gran Turismo's menus are a bit shit in that they take way too many button presses to get anywhere and do anything. But button presses are better than idle time when you've got a headset on, so actually it works really well there. You spend very little idle time waiting for things to load, which makes that one very easy to jump into and play. That's what I would like to see on the PC racing side of things, but... Forza Motorsport will be good. Yeah, I'm sure it will be. Turn 10 are really, really talented, so it will be a showcase and it will be a good game. But it won't have VR. Sadness be upon all of us. I think that might be it. Tony, so you agree with Tony, you wish something would drag your mates away from Assetto Corsa. The longer it goes, the more pretentious they get. I mean, Assetto Corsa 2 hasn't got them away from it, right? And so I think they're probably quite well stuck in that one. It's not 12 a.m., which means I've got time to get another fancy drinking vessel, get a delicious hot chocolate, play... it's a bit late to play many things. I don't know. It's not 12 a.m. episode 13, but we've run out of stuff. And also we don't need to run up to the minute for this show. So, I'm keeping half an eye in case anyone comes up with a bombshell question to keep it going, but I don't think they're going to, so we'll wrap up there. I'm going to say thank you. It's always hot chocolate time. I've got some delicious ones. And Isla desperately needs to go to bed as well, so thank you everyone for coming along. Anyone that watches afterwards, I'm kind of gobsmacked that you bothered to turn up and have these conversations with me, because I'm a prick. So I appreciate it very much. And tomorrow has streaming. Tomorrow should be Baldur's Gate 3, assuming you're around, Isla. Baldur's Gate 3 stream tomorrow. Saturday has Go Live, but I don't believe I'm on it, so there's something to look out for. And then it's on with the normal stuff from there. So, Power Wash Simulator, no. Special prick, yeah, I'll take it. Enjoy your games, have a good sleep depending on where you are. I'm not on Saturday. No, I'm not on Saturday. As far as I know, Gaz is like not awesome with communication. So that could shift and change, but my current understanding is no, not me. And chat was distinctly above average. Chat is always awesome. And I will catch you all next time, tomorrow, whenever it may be. Oh, kapow!